Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. The news is live from our studios here at Kokomlimle. It's Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra. In Kumasi, we are live on Love 99.5 FM and affiliate across the 16 regions of Ghana, including Radio Freed in Nandom, Radio Justice in Tamale, and Kekeli Radio in Ho. You can also download the My Joy Online app from Play Store and App Store to listen live around the world. In this edition,
I don't think a system that says funerals with restrictions is exactly what we are looking for. We should be saying just go back to burials only, go back to ceremonies only, no parties, no sitting down, nothing. And then, 3-4 weeks from now, when we have a better sense of how those impacts spread, we can reassess.
Public health experts weigh in as measures announced by President Akufo-Addo to contain the third wave of COVID-19 infections, they say, are not enough to slow the spread. We'll hear from them also this afternoon. We find out how health officials in the hotspot cities plan to roll out the containment measures.
Public Health Emergency Management Committee. Okay. We are going to have an emergency meeting and look at how we can enforce the directive.
We'll tell you about the new symptoms exhibited by the Delta variant said to be extremely dangerous. Also this afternoon, proponents of proposed law criminalizing LGBTQI say nothing will stand in the way of draft bill being passed in Parliament as some religious bodies throw weight behind it.
No matter what, Ghanaians must protect family values and sanctity of marriage. LGBTQ plus should not be part of our national cultural identity.
It's a battle of rights against morality in Parliament as MPs ready themselves to take the proposed bill through the first reading.
It has very serious international consequences. I dare say that Ghana will definitely lose some benefits as a result of passing this law.
If I were to give you figures, I think it's even over 90%. Massive support from members of Parliament.
We have details of that document cited by Joy News Review chief at the center of alleged $5 million Chief Justice bribe. Had tried without success to get the Chief Justice and another top Supreme Court judge off his case. We'll tell you more. And later in entertainment, from a pupil teacher to a multiple award-winning gospel musician.
It wasn't easy. I was teaching, but I was struggling.
Teacher Mercy.
And I was Teacher Mercy.
I'll give you the backstory of Ahima Mercy's rise to prominence 18 years after her first hit, also in sports.
Black Bombers captain Suleiman Tete is 2 steps away from winning a medal for Ghana at the Tokyo Olympic Games after his triumph this dawn. We will hear from his coach, Uforia Sari, later.
We have that and more in this edition of the Midday News with me, Emefa Apau. Please stay for details. This is your home of bold, credible and fearless journalism, and this afternoon public health experts are questioning the robustness of new measures announced by President Akufo-Addo in his 26th update to the nation last night. Health systems and policy researcher Nana Kofi-Kwache is not convinced the new measures will be able to deal with the third wave of infections. We'll hear from him shortly, but first, here's head of our health desk, Fred Smith, with an update in our numbers. Fred, what is it looking like?
Well, MFA, we have 435 new cases. It brings our active cases to 4,521 and the deaths are 823 MFA.
Well, we are now learning about the new variant, but before then, I'm sure you'll give us a breakdown, the regional breakdown, how it's looking like everywhere.
Well, I'll bring the regional breakdown to you shortly, but first, the characteristics of the new variant as we see. So it has the following symptoms. It will give you running or blocked nose, prolonged headache, sore throat, diarrhea, vomiting, fatigue, muscle aches, and some of these are the symptoms you experience once you get the Delta variant.
Okay, well, that's the head of our health desk, Fred Smith. I'm interested in getting that regional breakdown, what it's looking like in other regions, apart from the Greater Accra and Ashanti region, which we know are the hotspots now. Do we have the others?
Yes, we do. The Greater Accra region has currently got 2,262 active cases. The Ashanti region with 1,229 active cases. Those are the 2 hotspot regions, but we also have the Eastern region, the Ahafo region, the Bono region, and the Volta region with cases above 100. So those are also worrying signs there for us.
Well, that's ahead of our elders. First, May, thank you very much for those updates. Well, the president announced yesterday that wearing of face mask is mandatory, has always been, and that will be enforced. But among others also, he announced a ban on funeral and wedding receptions, as well as renewed calls for observance of the protocols.
To ensure that such gatherings do not become the sources of infections, the following must be adhered to by all at these gatherings. Firstly, the wearing of masks continues to be mandatory, and persons must respect the enhanced hygiene protocols. Secondly, all such events must be held in open-air spaces. Thirdly, the duration of such events is limited to 2 hours. Fourthly, there must be observance of the 1 meter social distancing rule. And fifthly, handshakes must be avoided. Furthermore, given that people sitting together to eat, drink, laugh, dance, and talk in large gatherings without masks are the riskiest activities for spreading the virus, all post-event receptions, particularly related to weddings and funerals, are banned.
The president also urged employers to return to the days of shift system as at work, whilst those who can are encouraged to work from home.
With workplaces currently witnessing a resurgence in COVID-19 infection, it is important that owners and management of businesses and workplaces implement strictly the guidelines on staff management and workplace protocols, such as the use of a shift system and technology, mask wearing, social distancing and hygiene protocols, as was required in the earlier days of the pandemic.
But on the streets, many are still not observing the protocols.
So concerning what the president said yesterday, I think it's time we enforce the laws and then we see how best we can curb this new variant. Because from what he said, it's killing very fast than the normal one we know. So at least we should all be wearing our nose masks, because I think now it's even less expensive, the nose masks.
About them wearing a nose mask, just the education have to be more, just have to educate us, make us see the reason why we should wear it. With that we are good to go. About the funeral, the wedding reception and those ones, we can do wedding without reception, and there's no problem with that.
An old woman will be like, why is this man wearing this? They will explain, and then they will also put on their masks. Where I'm sitting now, just count policemen walking around. Out of 10 policemen, you see only 1 wearing masks.
I hope it is a good idea for President to advise us to wear the nose mask, and then, let's all help President so that we can fight against the COVID-19, because the disease is still there, the virus is still around, so we should protect ourselves, wear our nose mask, and then observe the social distance as President advising us.
Well, some of your views there on why we are not adhering to the safety protocols to the Ashanti region now, which is one of the 2 hotspot regions in the country. Health officials are already deploying security personnel to get people to comply with the mask wearing and other protocols. Dr. Emmanuel Tinkrang is the head of the regional health service. He's been addressing the media.
As at April, we're recording an average of 20 cases in a week. Then from June 21st to July 21, we've seen the cases are going up again. That means that we have moved into our 3rd wave, and we are recording a total of the average 120 cases in a day. That is the situation. But the challenge that we have here is that we've disregarded the protocol, the safety protocols has been disregarded. And then our vaccination coverage is low. You realize that if we are not careful, the cases will go up. So there's the need for us to intensify whatsoever we've done before and whatsoever we are doing now, so as to contain the outbreak.
Now, Dr. Emmanuel Tinkrang heads the Ashanti Region Health Service. We've been speaking to health systems and policy researcher Kofi Kwache on how the measures will deal with the current wave.
I think recently we've also heard some comment, I think from the Presidential Advisor on Health and the Ghana Health Service DG, that that funerals are a big part of our cultural setup, so we don't want to eliminate those entirely. And I think if indeed we're saying that it's not just burials, but funerals with limits, I think that's what that might be reflecting. But again, obviously, that is not as restrictive as what we had before, where it was burials only. And like I said earlier, I think that's what we have to go back to in the short term, so that we can at least stem the bleeding and then reassess over time. So if indeed it's the case that we are actually saying that it's funerals but with limits rather than just burials only, then yes, relative to January, it should be a less restrictive situation. I think that's fair to say. But, I really, really do think that we have to right now be focused on absolutely aggressive mitigation of the spread. So in the short term, I don't think we should be giving room for that. I think we should be saying, just go back to burials only, go back to ceremonies only, no parties, no sitting down, nothing. And then, 3-4 weeks from now, when we have a better sense of how those are impacting spread, we can reassess. But I don't think a system that says funerals with restrictions is exactly what we are looking for. I think what we want is burials only. But generally speaking, if we are looking at just compliance right now, I don't think we're going to see change. It obviously has not changed in the last 2 or 3 weeks since we knew about the Delta variant. And I don't think it's going to change immediately. But part of that has to also do with their commitment to enforcement. We have to see, I live pretty close to Suan Laboni. Every weekend since we heard about Delta variant, I can hear the clubs and bars from my apartment. So we know that those things have to be enforced because there are many police districts and many checkpoints in Suan Laboni, and these things are still happening. So we need to see that kind of concerted enforcement that will give people the understanding that, we're not playing here. We're not in a position where we can afford to be lax with our enforcement regime.
That's Nana Kofi Kwache, his health systems and policy researcher. Let's bring in the chairman of Parliament Health Committee, Dr. Nana Yuwe-Free. We're grateful for your time here on the Midday News, sir. So in order to mitigate the spread of COVID-19, the third wave we're told is here, and also in the absence of vaccines, it appears that adherence to protocols is the way to go. Is there really something that your committee or Parliament is doing to support the executive to get the public to comply with the protocols?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, I think that basically our interest would be first of all, in the area of intersectorial collaboration between the Ministry of Health and Interior for the police to be able to enforce previous laid down protocols. It looks like I don't think that directive has been suspended, and for that matter, it is for the police administration to sit together to be able to implement or to ensure that the citizens adhere to the expectations of the executive. There again, it's also one kind that we all have to create awareness. The media have a role to play in all educative programs that you can help the system to be able to get back to the days where almost all of us were so much aware of what we had to do. We all have to play a role, and definitely we have to work our way through awareness and then also a good behavior from the citizen. We've been able to do that before in the past, but now you see that we are too relaxed, and therefore the responsibility on the part of the citizen will come from a good behavioral change communication, of which the media will definitely have to help, the police will have to help with the collaboration of that. So we will be expecting a good collaboration from these two sectors, and then also the ability of the citizen to help to be able to ensure this is workable as well. We cannot stop the influx, especially in summer. A lot of mainly spread in Ghana. We are recipient on the other side of imported cases, and loved ones are coming in. It's summer. There's been a lockdown in Europe and the West, and there's this excitement to get out of their system. So I can foresee that when you visit airport company, they might tell you that the trend of passengers have increased compared to maybe the past, especially 2-3 months ago. And we cannot close down the airport. But then what we have to be able to do is also to adhere to what is expected of us. I think that in the midst of people raising the issue of cost, I will do cost and benefit analysis for people who are coming to Ghana to also accept that it's a difficult situation for us. Yes, you can talk of cost, but the cost of infecting loved ones when you come into the country is more than what would even keep the borders for us.
Okay.
And for that matter, I would still go into the area of people who are coming into the country would have to know what is ahead. It's like going to Canada now. A lot of people in Canada think it's a rip-off. People going to Canada have been ripped off because you are doing PCR, you arrive, whether you are negative or not, you are supposed to get into a hotel forcefully. You have to pay your money. You have to do PCR again, whether it's 24 hours or not. And then after you are negative, you have to still be in your house compulsorily for another 7 to 10 days, of which after that 7 days, you have to do another COVID test at your own expense.
Well,
so
these are issues that we're doubling later. But briefly, just before I let you off because of time, this issue also came up yesterday when the president addressed the nation. Until recently, we all knew that funerals were banned. But we're told yesterday that it was only the receptions for weddings and funerals that were banned. Is there an EI to support this, or we're still using the old EI? Really, you are in Parliament. Briefly, give us updates on that.
Yeah, that would be the old one, because there's nothing new on the plate that we have worked on.
But the old one said funerals were banned.
Sorry?
But the old one said funerals were banned. Is that not it? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, the old one said so, and then in between times, I mean, the old one said so. The funerals, churches were okay, and as of now, with the directive that has come, if there's supposed to be any amendment thereof or whatever is expected of thereof, I mean, that responsibilities with the executive. Yeah.
Okay, we're grateful. That's the chairman of Parliament Health Committee, Dr. Nana Ayew Efriye. Now, proponents of draft bill seeking to criminalize activities of lesbianism, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, says nothing will stand in the way of the draft bill being passed in Parliament, despite strong international opposition of the proposal. The simmering sentiment about the LGBTQI activities in Ghana have crept back into the public discourse in the light of some extreme sanctions which have come to the fore. This time, it has to do with some strong reservations which have greeted a 36-page bill yet to be sent to Parliament for consideration in order to criminalize the act. Law lecturer Moses Fuamweni, who helped draft the bill, says it is after those who say LGBTQ is a lifestyle and must not be allowed to stay.
Those who accept that it is a medical condition, we're not going to send anybody to jail. But even if you're in jail and you recant, we will treat you accordingly. Those that we are after are those who say it's a lifestyle, they love it, they like it. Don't you see it? Have you not heard that the United States ambassador wants to lift a gay flag and gay pride? Have you not been seeing it in the media?
But why would that be criminal is my question. If somebody says that my condition is criminal, not an illness.
Ask me, why has polygamy been criminalized in European countries? You answer that question yourself. Why? Why have the Europeans criminalized polygamy?
I don't know why we would add
that
to our conversation today. We're having a conversation about a law we're passing in Ghana.
No,
that's of interest to me.
I'm trying to make you see that the reason why we've because it affects.
By the way, polygamy is criminalized in Ghana as well, Mr. Fuamweni.
That support the fact that it is inimical. Now, Sebi, Mamanka Fancy, Sebio, if you come to my home and there's fufu on the table, I take the fufu, I put it in my ears. I take the fufu, I put it in my nose. What would you think of me? Is it normal?
It would be unusual to me, yes.
Exactly. So if somebody has a passion to have anal sex, or to have the queers do open for all sorts of dogs to lick and have sex with animals, how can that be human? Clearly, there's a problem somewhere, and we cannot encourage that, except that is what you want to encourage. Now,
That's Moses Formweni there speaking to Kojo Yangsing on the Super Morning Show. Well, both pro and anti-LGBTQ activists have extreme, dismissive and very entrenched positions. Let's start from the Christian community, and former General Secretary of the Christian Council, Reverend Dr. Puni Frimpong, says the constitutional stance on same-sex marriage must be respected.
We must listen to such views, but we must also know that we are in the ship together. So there's nothing like exclusive right that this is me alone. Tomorrow morning, what affect that person eventually will affect me. But again, that is why we need the bill, so that we work it in such a way that we also protect every Ghanaian citizen.
The proposed bill, after the 21-day maturation period, will be taken through first reading in Parliament, which after that, the Speaker will refer to a relevant committee for study and a subsequent report. But ahead of that, human rights lawyer and MP for Medina, Francis Xavier Susu, is warning Ghana could come under some sanctions if the content of the proposed bill is passed in its current state.
You can say for a fact that it has some challenges. I mean, from the word go. Challenges in terms of definition, and then challenges in terms of how to criminalize values and culture of people. And then it also has challenges with the kind of sentence regime it seeks to impose, particularly at the time that we've all complained about prisons being choked, and the fact that we should be moving from punishment being corrective or reformative than retributive. For me, generally looking at the bill in its current form, but I'm not too worried because the bill as it stands is still a draft.
But his colleague, Member of Parliament for Sanarago in the Northern Region, ABA Fuseni, tells correspondent Joseph Opoku Gakpo the proposal enjoys the support of MPs.
Has massive support of members of Parliament. If I were to give you figures, I think it's even over 90%. Massive support from members of Parliament. Because, Gakpo, look, this is a God-centered country. Allah Almighty, the maker of this heaven and earth, the belief in the Almighty, it embodies more than 90% of our population. So, for us in a godly-centered country, we cannot allow any act that frowns on what the Almighty has prescribed.
Sanarago MP ABA Fuseni, well, President Akufo-Addo last year reiterated government's determination not to pass laws that will legalize same-sex marriage, and the discussion continues on social media. This is the Midday News here on Joy99.7 FM. We'll be hearing from public health experts as they weigh in on President Akufo-Addo's new directives to contain the third wave of COVID-19 infection. Still to come, documents cited by Joy News reveal chief at the center of alleged $5 million Chief Justice bribe had tried without success to get the Chief Justice and another top Supreme Court judge off his case. I'll tell you more about it. And we have entertainment. We'll put the spotlight on Hima Mercy, the backstory of her rise to prominence 18 years after her first hit.
It wasn't easy. I was teaching, but I was struggling.
Teacher Mercy.
And I was Teacher Mercy.
Thanks for your company here on the Midday News. Let's do sports now.
There is good news because Black Bombers captain Suleiman Tete recorded a 3-2 split decision over his Dominican Republic flyweight opponent Mate de la Rosa Rodrigo earlier today. Suleimanu has now progressed to the round of 16 and a step closer to the medal zone. He will face Cuba's Veitia Yosvani in his next round of fights, which will be staged on July 31 for a place in the quarterfinals. Coach of the team, Oforia Asare, says the win is a testament of the team's hard work.
We are manifesting the kind of training or the kind of preparation that we had, that we are claiming that we want to make history here. It's not easy. We are gradually on the right path, and I think Sule's wins may signal a lot to know that we are really serious of all the words that we just spoken before coming here. We are still asking for Ghanaians to pray for us, because it is not an easy competition, but we will put up our best to make Ghanaians happy.
That's your sports with Nathaniel Atto. Now, documents in the possession of Joy News reveal the chief at the center of the alleged $5 million bribe involving the Chief Justice Kwesi Enin-Yeboah had actually tried without success to get the CJ off the case. An attempt was made to also get senior Supreme Court Judge Jones Udoche off the matter as well. Ojiedom Obrani Kwesi Atta's a former lawyer, Kwesi Afrifa, claims the CJ had asked for a $5 million bribe to deliver a favorable judgment. Court correspondent Joseph Akable in the following report walks us through documents in our possession on this unending saga.
Ojiedom Obrani Kwesi Atta in September 2020 petitioned the Chief Justice asking that the CJ and Justice Jones Udoche recuse themselves from his case. He explained that this will assure him of a fair hearing. He accused the Chief Justice of raising issues about whether a village land could be that expensive. This is said to have been a reference to a $16 million judgment debt the Chief had won against telecom giant Vodafone. The Chief additionally questioned why the panel of 5 judges had been increased to 7, adding that the Supreme Court's decision granting Vodafone a stay of execution would not have been granted had the panel remained 5. Justice Jones Udoche, on the other hand, is accused of having stated that officials of the Lands Commission suppressed evidence in this case while ruling in a different matter, even though aspects of the case remained pending. Justice Udoche responded to the petition in October 2020. He described it as lacking substance and written with bad taste, with the sole intention of picking their own panel of judges. The 2 judges stayed on the case with the enhanced panel granting Vodafone stay of execution. The court also granted an application for fresh evidence to be adduced by Vodafone. The chief then brought another application before the Supreme Court, also asking for leave to lead fresh evidence to contradict the evidence that Vodafone had been asked to adduce. By a majority of 4-1, the court granted the application in favor of the chief. Only the Chief Justice Kwesi Enin-Yeboah dissented, insisting it was wrong to give the chief an opportunity to remake his case.
Court correspondent Joseph Akable with that report. Now imagine being pinned to the floor for 18 years by a strange disease that inhibits your growth and the use of your arms and legs. That's the reality of 18-year-old Gideon Kwame Fafa Apenya, who was struck with a spinal condition at 3 months and has not recovered since.
Gideon lives at Peki, Avetile, in the Volta region with his mother Doris and grandmother, who is also bedridden. 18 years ago, the 3-month-old baby was crying, eating and sleeping like any other child until things started getting worse.
Spinal cord. Free one, my did say somewhere. Now, so yes, I need to be film. Now, Yanya's canty, Yan Fananko.
What seemed like a routine illness has kept him in bed since then, preventing him from growing into the man he should have been by now. Caring for him has become a full-time occupation for Doris. She is unable to take up a meaningful job because her son needs her help.
First, to make up your job, Mamma, for now, maybe war no. I'm meant to make a baby.
Host of Prime Morning, Daniel Dazi there, visiting Gideon at his home in Peki, Avetile, in the Volta region. Time for our Drive Safe campaign.
Safe driving saves lives. Drive safe.
And the Police Motor Transport and Traffic Directorate says it has been able to identify all accident-prone areas in the country. We can hear from COP Frederick Edu Inim.
These officers will be trained properly, and after the training, we deploy them to the various regions because it's going to be permanent. We deploy them to the various regions where they will work under the regional commanders, the regional MTTD commanders, because every region has its own accident-prone area, so that they will take care of them.
That's a COP Frederick Edwinum, there's director of the MTTD. It's time for showbiz. Mapito Sividi, it's good to see you.
It's good to be back, MFR. And you know, they say people don't look like what they've been through. That is true for multiple award-winning gospel musician Ohima Mercy, who started off as a people teacher and would have still been one today. But as you know, she isn't. Here's why.
I was teaching, but I was struggling.
Teacher Mercy.
And I was Teacher Mercy. I was teaching in a class 2. I quite remember I have to leave the classroom, go for crusades and revival and all that. Somewhere 2004, a man of God ministered to me that I see you coming out with a song and God is taking you from where you are to another level. It wasn't easy then, but God took me from so much battle and suffering. And now I don't even remember it because God has...
Now you are chilling.
Indeed, we thank God we don't look like what we've been through, MFR.
Anka, the things we'll see. Thank you very much, Mapito Sibidi. And that's how we end today's edition of the Midday News here on Joy99.7 FM. There are stories on myjoyonline.com that you need to read for yourself. Alleged $5 million bribery saga. How Ojiodom Kwesiata tried to get CJ and Jones Doche off his case. Also, COVID-19, Ghana to receive over 18 million vaccines in third quarter. That's Akufo-Addo. And then 6 things we learned from Akufo-Addo's 26th update on COVID-19, anti-LGBT bill, all justification and support are not grounded in science. That's according to a researcher. That and more on myjoyonline.com. On behalf of the entire team, many thanks for your company. And as we prepare for greater works, we have Living Word with Pastor Mensa Otabil. What are you running after? Do stay.
Hello, please, am I speaking to Miss Joanna Kuma?
Yes, please.
My name is Philip and I'm calling from MTN. Someone has just sent you money and we will need you to enter your PIN number so that we can put the money in your account.
Hey,
oh dada, MTN will never ask you for your PIN. Never reveal your PIN to anyone under any circumstances. And if you are not sure, always check the number.